Well, hello everyone and welcome back to Circle City. Hope you guys are having a good day. Today we're going to be adding a Bubblevator in the little space behind me that will allow us to get from this bottom floor up to tier 2 and then also up to tier 3. But before we get cracking on that, I did come back out to the river and just, spruced it up just a tiny bit more. I took out some of the coral that was in here. Some of it I kind of decided I liked. I kind of like the darker colors under here. I made our little muddy banks a little bit longer. And this little piece that was kind of bugging me, I just kind of redid it a little bit. And then I just added a bit of coarse dirt in throughout the side of our very steep hill here, just to give it just a little bit more depth. I know you can't really see it a lot, but I do think that it helps. So all in all, I think it'll do for my first attempt at landscaping. Alright, so on to the real project. I had a lot of stone bricks left over from removing them from various places as I was modifying things. And that's kind of a good thing because we're going to use a lot of this leftover stuff today. Yeah, so I think we'll just start off with like 6 stacks. I don't know, that might be too much, might not be enough. I'm not really sure. But I have a pretty simple build in mind for this. But first things first, let's just get the baseline set up here, starting at this door, coming back one, and then in line with the red wool there. So that's just going to be the width of our Bubblevator. And then we're going to use a gray stained glass to go up the middle of this. And even though these first 2 blocks here are going to be removed, we're just going to go ahead and take this all the way up for now to the tippy top of what we have built so far. And when I'm up here, because this glowstone is gonna be removed pretty soon, I'm gonna just place a torch there just to make sure that we don't have any mobs that start spawning up here. Alright, perfect. Made all the way up to the top. Got friends up here already. Such a good sign. And, oh yeah, and while we're here, let me just say that the way that this guy has been working lately, I don't think there's going to be any reason to make this smaller. So I think that the only reason that I would come in and make this smaller is if for some reason it started to interfere with the tiers as we're building upward. But I think I'll be able to work around it, because as you can see, they're spawning and dropping in just great. So let's get back down, and I am just going to make our water tube complete, so just a few minutes to do that. Okay, so that's all in, and then it occurs to me, 1 second, that I should have brought my signs up with me to block this in, but that's okay. We'll go ahead and do that real quick. Remove the little glass pieces that we don't need. And get that all shimmied up. The thing is, I don't really decide what kind of color of sign to use. I think I'm just gonna go with dark oak because it's the darkest. And so hopefully it won't like stand out too much. And I just made dark oak wood like an idiot. I want planks, please. Arrgh. Dark oak planks. Okay. Okay, so here, just so I can get the signs in real quick and I don't have to worry about that anymore, I'm just going to start our little bottom design. And then I'll take out these two guys and put our signs in there. And then I will go up and do that on the other levels. This is why we need a Bubblevator. Not that I don't love my ladder, but it was meant to be temporary. And it would be a lot nicer just to be able to shoot up to the top here. Not that, this. Actually that is wrong because I have to remember that we are standing on the ceiling and not necessarily the floor here. So let me go ahead and do that, and then I will raise this up one more. It is jump to deploy wings, right? Oh my gosh. Okay. And to make sure that I do the same here. So it's pretty safe to say that up here I'm not going to be building the building design, frankly, because I don't really know how I'm going to design this space up here. So until I do, I think that it's better just to do like the tubes for now. That way that I don't end up carrying our design all the way up here to find out that I don't like it or I wanted to modify it in a certain way. Yeah. So that's what we are going to do. But while we are up here, we're going to add a little special bit because I want to add a switch into our Bubblevator, because as it stands now, if we filled this whole thing with water and did our Bubblevator now, we would only be able to go all the way up. So I want to create like a little bit of a switch that's going to block off our water at this point, so that we can choose between which tier we would like to go to. So I have to make sure, and I might have to adjust this a little bit. I'm not really sure. It just depends on how the whole thing ends up. Okay, so that would be there. Not there. Thinking is so hard for me. Actually, what I want to do is remove this guy. And then we would put a block here. And a block here, and a block here. This will all make sense in a minute, I promise. Yeah, so that'll be an empty spot there. So let me do an empty spot here. And go ahead and take this block out to make it a little bit easier in a minute. Okay, I think that is... What did I mess up here? Yeah, I need this not to be, I need this to be like that. Ugh. I'll get it right eventually. You know how it is. Hooray. Okay. So then... here... I'm gonna add our little friend called a sticky piston. I kind of need to be, I think, this way for this to work. Is that gonna give me enough space to throw this? Probably not. Alright, let me pull this out for a second and try to get this guy in. Perfect. Alright, so let me replace that block so I don't forget. Swing up and take a look just to make sure. Yeah, that ought to do it. Alright, so let's get back down. I'm gonna grab just some regular stone. And I'm hoping that this all lines up good, because I did test, but I didn't test it like at the full level. So I'm pretty sure we're gonna be okay with this. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put two blocks here, and then I'm gonna add a lever here. And then on the other side of this, we are going to make a torch tower. So let me hope that this goes okay. So by a torch tower, what you do is you're just layering redstone torches with a solid block. And so what this allows us to do is to create a switch, pretty much. So if you see what's happening right now, this torch is powered, which is going to power this block, which will unpower this torch, which makes this block unpowered, which allows this torch to be powered, and it just goes, you know, on and on. So when you flick the lever, the whole thing reverses. So then that, you know, that unpowers this, which unpowers that, which allows this torch to light up, and so on and so forth. So we are just going to do that all the way up so that we will be able to attach a redstone line to our piston up there and be able to move that block, one of the blocks, in and out. So now all I have to do is just string a bit of redstone from here over to this piston, and since this is currently powered, we'll see that piston move that block in. But pink. So what this is going to allow us to do is to move this block in and cut off our Bubblevator so that we will be able to get out on this level if we so desire. So what this means is that when we retract this block, we have to make sure that our water retains water source block state, or else it'll just completely cut off our bubbles in our Bubblevator and the whole thing will end there. So what we're going to do is when I put in the water, we're going to put water here and water there so that when this block retracts again, it'll create a source block in this area and it will not disrupt our bubbles. So that's the whole point of that. So that when I switch this, that block should move back and we'll be able to see all the way up. Yeah, perfect. Okay, I was kind of hoping that it would end up being in the reverse fashion. So that down, or so that if the lever was up, then it would go up to the top. But that's going to be reversed, so I'm just going to have to remember that. Okay, so now redstone is done, and so it is high time that we start just doing our little build here. And I am going to be using just the simplest of block schemes, because I think I have this problem where when I start to build something up and I have no idea what I want to do, sometimes I just get like super complicated and I start doing a bunch of stuff and I'm like, does this look good? And resulting in a no, not really. So I kind of went back and forth on this like a whole lot, and I had this whole other design planned out, and I have to say I kind of liked it, but I didn't really love it. But I convinced myself that it would probably work. But it turns out that the design was too similar to this pattern right here. So kind of what I had, just so you can see, is something, I get some other blocks in here so it makes more sense. I mean, not using these blocks, but I had like something planned out with like green concrete and gray wool to go with something like this. And then I stepped back, you know, after I had gotten everything together, and said, oh, well, that'll do. And then I stepped back and I said, oh my gosh, like we cannot have that. We cannot have like the same pattern pretty much that we use on our wool farm over there. So I tore it all down and started just doing all sorts of weird stuff. And I got myself very, very frustrated. And eventually just said, look, man, you gotta stop trying to be so super fancy and just come back to the simple build styles that you like. Because sometimes I think that happens. Like I get very caught up sometimes in what other people are doing and designs that I've seen, and then I start to think that, oh my gosh, like I should really try to up my game a little bit and try to branch out, you know, and sometimes I do, and sometimes that works out just fine, but other times it's just not really my style. It's not really my forte. And so when I do get kind of frustrated with what I'm doing, generally I just step back And I simplify everything, and then it turns out that I like it. So basically sometimes using a bunch of variations and stuff can look really good, and in other times just very simple basic is your best choice. So that is what I have decided to go with here. And this is where I'm getting nervous. Because I want to make sure. Yeah. I was really afraid that I put the torch tower in the wrong spot and I was going to have to like redo that whole thing. And I was like, nah, surely I did that right. But yeah, I did. So we're good. So let's get back here. So this is just like our base kind of, you know, bottom bit. And then from up here, we're going to get a little nicer. So I'm just going to put our kind of base blocks in real quick. This one goes there. This guy go there. Go there. And then this glass can come out because we are going to add some stair steps in here. You can go away for now. I think I'm done with you for a minute. All right. So this is going to go face that way, and face that way, face that way. Okay, good. So this part, we're going to put some frog lights. And the thing I'm thinking about is that when you do place frog lights, they do turn certain ways. Let me get up a little closer here. So I am probably going to have to put some junk blocks behind this. Yeah, I think that's better just to do it that way. So that our lines will go up and down like this. All right, so next up, to go around the sides of our frog lights here, we're gonna add some clay. This first layer here is going to be a little bit short, but then we'll extend it a little bit as we go up. That'll make sense in a minute, I promise. I just want to make sure that I turn these stairs the way that I want them to go. Okay. Yeah, all right. Okay, so then in front of the frog lights, so they're not quite so intense, we're just going to throw some iron bars in front of those. Okay, so that's basically it. So very, very simple. The only difference that we're going to do is when we come up here, instead of just having one, we're going to have two. So 1, 2 there, and then step this way here. So I need to add another guy here. Bigger hot bar. Would like a bigger hot bar, but I know that's never gonna happen, so oh, and I've already messed things up because these these next to here are supposed to be clay, not bricks. Just trying to get my spacing, you know, correct. Yeah, that would have been looked awful when I stepped back. Like, what did I do? All right, let me pull this out. Um, yeah, so that's pretty much what it's going to be. So this first layer is going to be just like one thick, and then going up it's going to be two. And that'll get our spacing somewhat decent. And so I'm just going to build up all of that real quick. Okay, so there we have the front side of it done. Up at the top, we just added a few more chiseled stone bricks for the top, and then when we add our water in, that's going to change the color of our center a little bit. The sides are going to be roughly the same, just a little bit of variations here and there. So I'm going to go ahead and get those completed. This hole here is going to be where we drop down, so I will be removing that block and putting water in there, and then we'll have to complete our tube going up here so we don't shift around when we're falling and hit the wrong block. But yeah, so I'm just gonna go ahead and put in the other sides, and we'll just, you know, take a look at the variations that I've done on those. Okay, so I got the sides in. On this side, I was able to do the same sort of pattern. On this side, I was too, unexpectedly, because originally when I was just plotting this out, I had our switcher mechanism with a piston down here, which meant I had to delete like this set of windows and just use all stone. But since I have that mechanism up above, that made me realize that yes, I could indeed put these here now, because that's not going to be in the way. On the back side, I just kind of made it real simple, because it's the back side and it doesn't need to be super fancy. So I just did the stone bricks and then some stone walls there. So so the good news is that it's gonna look, you know, decent from wherever you're running around down here. And so next up, with our dropper tube here, I'm gonna go ahead and fill in all of those all the way up, and then all we'll have left to do is to add our water. So I'm gonna get on that. Okay, so I got our dropper tube in all the way up to the top, and then while we're up here, we might as well dunk our water in. And pretty sure I didn't leave any like weird holes anywhere, so I think we'll be okay. So let's go ahead and add this up here. And then we'll go ahead and test this out. Just fair warning, I did put some lights going down on the way down, and plus when we get to the very bottom, we're going to run into those frog lights. So if flashing lights are kind of a thing for you, you might want to just close your eyes for a second. Alright, here we go. Alrighty, and we are down. You might as well go up there and add in our side water sources. That off so I don't accidentally spill. And then we can put in those last two blocks. I did refill that. Okay, thank goodness. Would have been annoying. Yeah, so source block water here, and then we can close that in. And then we gotta get rid of this guy, and then we'll add in, well, actually that guy could stay. Oh no, not really. Alright, I'm happy. So now you can see that adding the water behind the gray glass just changed the color of it a little bit. And so next up, all we got to do is grab some kelp. Hold on, I want to refill those. And I think I still have an underwater breathing potion hanging around. Make this a little bit easier. Let's go to our alchemist and see about that. Slow falling. And dragon's breath. Well, poop. Underwater breathing. Isn't that just a pufferfish? I don't remember now. Awkward first. Oh, this is enough. I don't have to go and get it some more, whatever that's called. I forget. Okay, awkward. If I add the pufferfish, please be right. I thought it told you before it brewed and you could stop it, but yeah, okay, good. I wasn't worried. And then our redstones, I make that a little bit happier. Okay, great. So I'm pretty sure I'm only going to need just one of these, so let me put the other two in here for safekeeping. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Nope. I know you're here. Okay, I'm just going to grab all of it. I'm pretty sure that 64 will be enough, but just in case. Alright, so I think we're ready to go. So stringing along kelp is the easiest way to turn running water into source block water. So that is what we are going to do. So let me drink this. And we'll just get in here and start planting. Alright, all the way up at the top. Whoa, almost went straight down. Okay, so that was easy enough. I might have been able to do that without the water breathing, but I just wasn't sure. Anyway, flashing lights again. Now that that is all done, all that we have to do is break our kelp, remove this dirt, and put in our soul sand. And make sure that it is sand and not soil, and everything should be good. So now, when I go up, this should just take me all the way up. Can't really see out of this glass, but yeah, that is perfect. And that being there, we can actually put stone in the top of this so that we stop there and can walk out. And then we will test our switch. Okay, I got hung up on something a little bit there, so I'll have to try to figure out what that was. Not certain, but anyway, so let's hit our switch, and this will be our real test to see if we come out on the second floor. Perfect. Okay, so unfortunately the only flaw in this is that we can't like switch this back from up here. So if we were up here and we wanted to go up to the top, there's no way to switch this from this point that I know of, because even adding another lever, like once a lever is powered, it is powered, and it's not gonna like switch this back. It'll just be weird. So if we're here and we want to use the Bubblevator to go all the way up, we'll just have to go down and then switch it to go back up. So final test, just to switch it back and make sure that we go, that it remains, you know, that it brings our source block back, and that we will be able to get all the way up again. So here we go. Okay, great. Haha. Alright, so happy. So now, with that being done, I think what that little blip is like the water, the source block water in the corner is just kind of slowing me down a little bit, but I don't think that's like a really big deal. So I'm not really going to worry about that so much. But yeah, so with this in, I am going to be free to remove our ladder whenever it is convenient for me to do so. I'm probably going to leave it there for just a bit, till I get used to not using it probably. But regardless, I am very, very glad that we have gotten this guy in. And even though it's not like a super duper fancy design, I think it works out okay. So I am happy with it. I think it looks nice. I think it looks nice with the surrounding buildings, and then we don't have like pattern interruption. I am so glad that I chose to redesign that, because that, oh man, that would have bugged me for all eternity if I had done that, what I was originally planning. So I think that we are good here today. Just ignore my stench bubbles. They'll go away eventually. And as always, I just want to thank you guys for stopping by, and thanks for hanging out with me. And I will see you guys in the next episode. Bye bye.